lady that does a lot of different things. I probably identify as a athlete, a dancer, entrepreneur, artist, uh, kind of weirdo, but the cool weirdo kind of thing. And just really always looking to expand my experience in life and to guide other women specifically to experience more of this life. I have a coaching business, magnetic soul healing, and a compost bin business called Compost Cultura.
Perfect. So my first question for you, Jessica, is uncheated code. What does that mean?
Yeah. Then Cheated Code is an automated course that I made last year sometime, and it's a four module online course. It's self-paced. I always suggest someone to do it over 3 months, but it can be done in 2 months. There's two modules or two videos for it. But besides all those details, it is a course to guide women outside of the pain of betrayal and infidelity. Because after in a relationship that ends, or where there is betrayal, where there is infidelity, there's a lot of pain that can come along with it. And I've experienced that several times in my life. In my marriage of 10 years, which I ended 6 years ago, and then the subsequent relationship I was in, which was 5 years after the marriage, where I experienced, so much terrible pain inside myself. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I felt terrible about myself, unworthy, felt very lost in life. And I sat and thought, why is it that I feel this terrible? Because he did something that I didn't like, or he did something that was outside of our relationship values. And even though we can, we're humans and humans make mistakes and humans do things impulsively, not everyone has the same values as us. Even in relationships, we think we do, we make up all these stories in our mind about people before we really get to know ourselves and before we really intentionally spend some time with someone before beginning a serious relationship. And anyways, after saying all of that, it is just a course to guide women in a holistic and spiritual way outside of that pain, moving from those feelings of betrayal and self-doubt and just having a lot of physiologic changes in their body, um, and naturally doing holistic things to help shift their mind and body to a more peaceful, full state. Again,
A lot of women that I've worked with from a coaching perspective, or even friends and acquaintances, one of the things that they've shared with me is that when they've experienced betrayal, it impacts them in a number of ways. One could be their self worth, one could be their perception of relationships going forward. A third could be that, hey, do I actually deserve better, or is this all that I'm going to experience is betrayal after betrayal after betrayal? When it comes to a mindset for some of these women who experience low net worth, lack of trust, just unhealthy perception of the world, what are some of the ways that in general that you would assist them, or even tips that you can give them?
it's, I know exactly what those feelings are like. And we really, as humans, there's things that we have to do for our mind and our body. There's a lot of things that we can do, but there's specific things that I have found that really helped me change my mindset, which was working through my body. Um, Always trying to get enough sleep. And if you're having trouble with that, do your best, take naps in the day, or having a consistent sleep schedule, having a nighttime ritual and a morning ritual to help ease your body, which works with temperatures and breath work. So I always suggest that we go to sleep at a room temperature of 68 or 70 degrees, because when we're in that kind of environment, our body naturally releases melatonin, which allows us to sleep. having a soft ritual where it quiets our mind, drinking tea, doing breath work, meditating and stretching before bed, waking up, waking up with stretching as well, turning up the heat in the room instead of sitting in a cold room. Because when we wake up, we're supposed to feel heat because that naturally releases other hormones in our body that allows us to wake up. And having a morning ritual of breath work and gratitude and stretching and being gentle on ourselves when we don't do this, when we are at a low, because we can be caught in a low and we can be really hard on ourselves. I've recently gone through a breakup and I've re-experienced these things. So even though after um, doing the uncheated code and having all these things, the mistake that I made was I didn't follow the uncheated code again because I wasn't cheated on this last time. And I think they can apply to a lot of relationship aspects that are ending. And I'm just realizing that now. I'm like, why didn't I do these things for this relationship too? Other things that really help are cold plunging and sauna and exercise, getting enough sleep, getting enough rest and water and appropriate nutrition, and using temperatures.
One thing I realized that when anytime I had a relationship that ended is that I didn't want to ignore my body because, like the book says, the body keeps a score. So when I was going through a breakup, I remember that I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself as well. So I would create a safe space for myself. I would honor myself. I'd give myself time. I'd give myself love. Because when a relationship ends, hopefully you're getting a source of love from that person and from yourself. So you're getting it twofold. I know sometimes when it ends, things happen. Why do you think some people neglect their body, especially when a relationship ends?
Multiple different reasons because you feel like crap. And when you feel like crap, uh, we can always, that's just a notion for our body telling us to take care of ourselves. But when we feel emotionally down, it can be a little bit harder. And I believe it all stems from a lack of not knowing oneself, a lack of self-love, and um, being highly attached, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. We have, I still experience uh, attachments. And, in the recent breakup that I broke up with my last boyfriend, and it was so hard for me because he was so fun and he was so sweet. But there, over the last several months, we had, my dog had a litter of 11 puppies, and that just really tore us apart. It's not a baby, but there was just a lot new responsibilities that we both had, and he wasn't willing, or I was, he wasn't showing up for me the way I wanted it to happen. And then, there was more of dismissiveness and blowing me off. And then I look at myself and I'm like, why did I choose a man or someone that's a man child? Because like we're choosing people that can't show up for us. And I chose to be with him because he was freaking fun. He's amazing, so freaking fun, um, but very childlike. So maybe I should have kept it at a friend level, and that's it. But I'm really grateful for the relationship that I experienced with him because I learned a lot more about myself, a lot more about my focus, and I branch out into different things within art and music because of that relationship. Um, so just doing my best to shift towards the positive aspects and the good things that happen within it, and just letting things go, for things that I didn't like. It's different for every single person. Um, and there's some nights where I couldn't sleep. And this was pretty recently. I couldn't sleep because I was just crying and feeling terrible about myself. And it's just also showing me again of where I still need to love myself more. Like, why am I crying over a scrub? That's what is that TLC said? I don't want no scrub. Scrub is a guy who
There you
won't
go.
get no
There you
love
go.
from me. And I gave a scrub love. So it's like I have to forgive myself and I have to be kind to myself for that because um, I really want to move more towards liberation of my life instead of being in these societal standards of what a relationship is. Like I don't know if I want to get married again. I don't think I want to have children in this world. Um, there's a lot of things that a lot of provocation that just it's showing me that I really wish I have a lot of things guiding me to be really, really unattached, which I'm kind of scared about because I care a lot about people. And but unattachment is not always dismissive, you know. But it doesn't always have to be like this. Like it doesn't have to be this hard. It doesn't have to be this much of a struggle. But this is something that I've recently gone through, or not that I've gone through anything. It's not like I have my body's intact. Like I haven't broken any bones. I'm not in an accident. There's so many more good things going on. And I'm building that. I'm building on the things that are working for me. Like my shoes. I have my shoes on. I have shoes to put on my feet. And I have feet to walk with. I don't have nubs. I have my legs that can carry me places. And I have a bike that I can ride down the street and to liberate whatever physical things I'm experiencing that are uncomfortable. Um, we're trained to focus, like you were saying, to focus on the negative. But every single second, there's a lot of things in our favor. And I can totally forget that. Um, but I have to remember to be gentle with myself because I've spent years and years building up these patterns and habits within my mind and within my life that will take some time of undoing. And that's okay. It's when we're in a dark space, it kind of sucks, but we got to just do what we need to do. And it can be really hard. It just takes a lot of courage and the willingness to love ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. And shout out to TLC for making an excellent, excellent song, No Scrubs. You know, you had the passenger side of your ride trying to holler, oh, yes, boy, they're talking to you. But
Yeah.
I was there at one point. I was in the passenger. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't hollering at any girls. I don't want people to get this misconception of me. But yeah, if I'm honest with myself, there's a point in my life, especially when I was in my 20s, that I wasn't able to show up for women in the way that they needed for me to show up. And to be very honest, I wasn't even able to show up for myself. I learned it took 10 years. It took the struggles. It took the falling down. It took the bad relationships. Like, Train, what the hell are you doing? You dating this person? Like, there's no future here. I had to learn. But one thing I want to highlight that you mentioned was that I stopped focusing solely on the negative aspect. I was like, okay, this person may not have been able to give me X, Y, and Z, but let me change my perspective. They showed me what I no longer wanted. They
Mhm.
showed me what I no longer wanted to tolerate. They showed me that, hey, there's someone out there for me if I'm willing to do the work. And you said it perfectly, where it's like, you have your health, you have your legs, you have your limbs, you have your brain, you have your smile, you have your good looks, you have all these things, you have your bike, you have good weather where you are.
It's hot.
Why don't we pivot and focus
Mhm.
for that, right? It's hot. I'm
Yeah.
looking outside my window. It is an inferno outside, and I can't wait to tan and get a golden brown on this beautiful skin of mine. Why do you think people focus on the negative instead of the positive?
Our brains biologically are wired for survival. So for people that don't know, I've worked as a registered nurse for almost a decade now, and I know a lot about the human body. I have a master's degree in science, and I'm an expert on the body. But what I'm offering is not medical advice, and it's not. I just have this skill in my background. But our brains are wired for survival, and we're in a modern time where life is really easy for us and we have a lot of comfort, which is really nice. And our ancestors worked for this kind of life to be able to have this comfort because of all of the hard work that they experience, and there's a lot of mistreatment through it. So the world is we still have a lot of issues in the world among humans, but there really is more good going on. There is a lot more better treatment among humans, even though there's, of course, not negating the fact that that doesn't exist of violence and mistreatment. But I always talk about that. The world is so much better with our comfort, and we have an easy way of living life. And a lot of people, including me, were kind of freaking out because, um, not that I'm really freaking out all the time, but sometimes I freak out a little bit. How could we're in a modern time, how could we not be anxious? How could we not have all of these insecurities when we have all these demands and responsibilities that are just unnatural for us as human beings? So it's totally natural and it's fine. We just got to be easy on ourselves. And that's what I'm doing the best with myself. Um, did I answer your question?
You did, and you raised a fantastic point about time, right? Like, there's that saying, right? Idle hands are the devil's playground workshop. So, right, like the more time we have just to think about stuff, the more time that maybe we will think about, oh my God, my house is 3,000 square foot, but my neighbor's is 3,500. We have a problem, right? Like, I don't know if you're into movies, but that was like the first Purge movie where they wanted to they were jealous of the guy's house because it was bigger and better. So on the one night of the year we can kill someone and get away with it, they decided to attack him for his home. Right? It's like the envy of other
Ridiculous.
people. It's ridiculous, right? It's like I saw a clip where someone was actually getting mad at her friends because they had healthy relationships and she was still struggling to find her relationship for herself. And
Mhm.
she would actually attack verbally her friends. And I think to your point, sometimes if we sit around in the victim mentality, woe is me, it
Mhm.
may push us to become someone that we didn't think we're capable of becoming. What are your thoughts?
I think it's really important that we all we take responsibility for our inner world. This is a concept that took me years to understand, and it's still something that I'm working towards. I do not know how to fully be independent emotionally at times. There's a lot of, I still work as a nurse. I see a lot of things. I see a lot of suffering, and I see a lot of physical ailments of people. And I have my own life, um, where I have my own pain. You know, there's things within my family that are difficult for me to handle. And so I had a spiritual awakening a couple years ago, and I did all these spiritual studies, and I'm just like, oh, we just have to be unattached and we have to not care about the things that happen in life. And I've come to a realization is like that I still have attachments. I do care. And these things are important to me. And I'd really like to experience this life with more grace, despite all of the rejections that we can or that I experience, and despite just difficult social situations. I have a hard time in social situations, and there's a lot of things that we got to navigate as humans in this world. Um, and I like to be transparent. It's like I've had a lot of accomplishments and triumphs, and I did create the uncheated code. I am over cheating, but I still these things can still happen. It's not we're taught that things are 100%. It's not 100%. We're not 100% guaranteed anything. And it's the most important thing is to build a relationship with ourself, with our soul, and with God, which is what I do. And I think that I could do a way better job, but that's the the kiosk to it is just why do we have all these standards of how we're supposed to live life? If you watch Fight Club, the movie, the meaning behind it is rejecting social standardization, rejecting social acceptance, rejecting what society expects for how society expects you to live your life. But it also showed us like you can leave your life, the one within society, and live by your own rules. but then you're just picking up a completely different identity that's still also intense with rules and with all these things. It's very important that we all get to know ourselves individually and that we have an internal revolution inside of us, that we learn to be emotionally independent, because all of these things that happen with betrayal, with traumas, with accidents, whatever it is, it's all natural. And it's hard for people to deal with. It's hard for me to deal with. Like I've experienced being disabled. That I was younger then, and that wasn't that hard because of the other injuries I had, and I had a lot of really amazing recovery. Um, but my body is different because of it, and I'm still bothered by that. So there's things in life that we have to. We have these physical bodies, and we have other people around us, and we have all these expectations. That's why I like unattachment, having no expectations from other people, and having an internal oasis within ourselves is the only way. Being enlightened is the only way to experience this life without any problems. So I think it's important for us to accept that things come into this life, people come into this life that we don't like and that we have trouble with, and learn how to deal with it gracefully, learn how to be playful, and learn how to respect ourselves and respect other people, and learn how to be emotionally independent instead of depending on everyone else to fulfill us emotionally. And that's what we're trained as women, is to be dependent and realize that we're only going to be okay if we're in a relationship and this relationship looks a certain way, which is a crock of shit. We as women, we're the ones that create life, and we are the ones who create this world. And if we were more secure as women, we would have more magic, more beauty, more things going our way. And it's our dependence on relationships. And there's nothing wrong with that. Relationships are a beautiful thing and they're supposed to be beautiful, but it's our dependence and emotional dependence on men and other things. They're not just men, but however someone swings, that's their way, that's awesome. But our emotional dependence on other people. We need people, we need each other, we need to support each other. We're supposed to be together, we're supposed to get along. Um, but there is a way, and it's something that I'm still growing within myself, to be emotionally okay instead of insecure, which is also okay. There's nothing wrong with the way anyone feels. It's all just our experience. It's fine. We just have to stop being so hard on ourselves and remember what it was like being a child, because most of us were very free as children. We were unattached and we were playful. We could find fun and play with anything and laugh at anything.
What does an emotionally safe and healthy woman look like, according to you?
Emotionally healthy and safe woman feels good on her own. She knows how to be present, tap into the present moment. She knows how to tap into her creativity and with nature and be involved in that. And is okay when people come and go. Um, doesn't try to force anything, just allows a flow in life. Not very much control. It's just a flow.
Self control or control by others?
Both. And I don't like that word control. It's more liberation and freedom. And it's not about control. Nature doesn't control. Nature just is, and it just does.
I'm glad you clarified that because I know a lot of women they struggle with that. They want to show up for everyone else but themselves, first and foremost, right? A
And we're
lot
taught
of
that.
women.
All women around
And
the world forever, for centuries.
absolutely, absolutely right. So it's like, okay, how do I show up for myself? And then you list the things. But then what about the shame and the guilt of, oh, I'm not this type of woman because around me they're showing up for everyone else and here I am, the outlier.
Yeah. Well, we have children and we have specific responsibilities as women. And when we have a partner that doesn't show up for us, it makes it really hard. You know, like that experience I had with my dog having 11 puppies, there was so much stress added because my boyfriend didn't show up for me in the ways that I needed him to, because he didn't feel like it was his responsibility and I had to do it on my own. So a lot of stressors that can come along with it. Um, and it really is surrendering. And I could just say that easy because I've been, I've experienced having the biggest thing is that's kind of it's not a human being, but it's pretty close to that responsibility as a human being. Because you're caring for a life and you're caring for a lot of lives. My dog having all those puppies, I was in a heightened state of stress. I was lacking sleep. I, was being harassed by my neighbors. I had a lot of stressors coming at me. And it's like, how do we handle this? And I had a partner that was going against me and wasn't really fully supporting me. So it's like, how do I handle this all by myself? And I think it goes back to before any of that happens, is getting to know ourselves and choosing the right partner, choosing the partner that will show up.
In
But
in those situations, go ahead.
if we're in that experience already and we have a child with a man that isn't showing up for us, that's really difficult. That's really hard. And but we have to shift our perspective, or we don't. We can stay however we can just it's when we're stressed and we're tired and we're sleep deprived and we have people against us, it's and we don't have that self-empowerment within ourselves, it can be really hard. We need someone to show up for us. And I think turning our relationship to God and handing things over to God. Easier said than done. It really looks like being detached from people because when we're detached, things just come to us. But when we have that pressing need and control within ourselves, those feelings, then that just pushes things and people away. It makes things around us resistant. But it's like, how do we do that if we're in this cycle? Again, we're tired, we're stressed, we are overwhelmed, our baby's crying, there's so much chaos going around us. How do we handle ourselves emotionally? I think it's important to really, like I said already, working on ourselves before getting to know ourselves, before we get into relationships, before we get married, before we have children. And if we're in it, um, building a very strong relationship with God. And regardless, that should be our focus no matter what. Before whatever, middle or afterwards, we always need to have build our relationship with God and have that relationship.
For the men and women out there who are listening to this, and I'll play devil's advocate for some of the struggles that they go through, is this question gets asked: was the partner not showing up in the way that you wanted them to show up, or were they showing up in the capacity that they know how to show up in?
Both of them. And it is me having this expectation and belief that they could, which is it's fine. But I also had like a pressure. I put like demands and control on him instead of, I don't know, being unattached. Being unattached is the answer. Not feeling those controlling things and expectations.
I wonder sometimes in now if I take it a step away from you,
Hmm.
for those in relationships, let's say it's a heterosexual relationship, there seems to be in general a partner that is more emotionally stronger, mentally more fit. They can carry the load longer, easier than the other person. I wonder in the example that you shared and some of the things I've gone through or many other people, is it that when we're going through something and we turn to our partner, it's because from our perspective, we need their assistance, but maybe they're looking back at us and be like, okay, you know what, Jesseca, you know what, Taryn, you got this because you're so strong and you've showed it before. Could that be some people's situation as well, where their partner expects them to resolve it because they always do resolve it?
I'm not sure how to answer that question because it's we just put so much expectation on each other and um but it's just like how do you tell a baby how do you expect a baby to care for themselves? How do you expect someone who's in a wheelchair or disabled to take care of themselves physically fully? And that's not every single person's situation. That's not every single person's life. But I think it's really important to communicate and to express our needs and to I don't be vulnerable, be real, and we're human. We can't do everything on our own, and we need each other. And I think it's important to be pretty unconditional instead of, that doesn't look that way for every single person, but there's people who get satisfaction out of showing up for someone else, and that's good. That's okay. But I think it's really important for me to get to know myself even deeper, which I am, and it's just taking me different places as always in this life. Um, but building that relationship with God, focusing on what I like, and still showing up for other people, not neglecting people, not neglecting friends, but reaching out to friends more, and having my own life, but also knowing what I want in a relationship.
Yeah,
And
it's a tough place to be in, Jessica. Like when
it's
you
better
need
than
a sit.
it's better than being kidnapped and tortured. So it ain't that bad.
Well, what are you comparing it to? The ceiling or the floor?
I'm thinking, because how I do this comparison is like when I'm in such a low, I tell myself, I'm like, would I rather have my leg cut off, or would I rather experience this? I'm like, I'd rather go through this fucking pain than this emotional pain. And I was like, you know what? It ain't that fucking bad. And it then can be a morbid way or whatever. I've just seen a lot of things as working as a nurse. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I've seen a lot of things that have happened to people's body. I've been in a couple really serious accidents myself. And yeah, it's just the literally there we need to I need to, and I'm doing this to the best of my ability, is curate my focus on the present moment and what is working. Literally, it's such a miracle to wake up, to get out of your house and drive somewhere and get to your destination. There could have been a million things that could have happened on that way. You could have been in some accident. You could have ran someone over. And I'm not, I talked about this in a video on my YouTube channel, and they tried to take down my YouTube channel because they said I was encouraging self-harm. And I'm like, no, I'm encouraging gratitude. I'm encouraging looking at life in a different perspective, not with fear, not with um anything, but just being present and realizing that even though there's heavy things going on, there's still more support in this life. And that's easy said than done, because there's still times where I feel an empty hole in my chest, that jaw wrenching feeling in my stomach, that drop in my stomach. And it just always shows me, because like I said, I have a gift of self-reflection, and I'm very grateful to have that. It always shows me, it's like, why am I feeling this? Why, nothing around me is going wrong. Nothing bad is happening. I'm just having this shift within my body and disconnection with another person. Um, and it's okay that I feel that, but I have to remember the things that are working in my favor in the present moment. Because the present moment is literally, many times there's not a lot of bad things going on, or many times we're safe. Most of us are safe all the time. And the safe space that we're looking for is within ourselves. And that's most of the time. Even it's easier said than done, and it looks different all the time. But we have to remember the present moment, and we have to remember to, still protect ourselves and be courageous, but also remember, what kind of life do I want to live? How do I want to experience this life? Do I want to be stuck? Do I want to stay um hung over this person or whatever? And it's, that shift is difficult, but again, our bodies are not promised. No one else's body or life is promised. We could lose someone any day, in terms of, we're not losing them, they're just transitioning to a different form. They wouldn't be physical anymore. And that's just a big fault that we experience in society, most societies in the world, is that when people die, it's a loss, or when things end, it's a loss. It's not a loss, it's just a transition. Nothing is promised. Nothing physical is promised to us in this life. And I, shit, I'm too attached to a lot of things, but all of these, um, people leaving me, people rejecting my mom, rejecting me, my family rejecting me, um, staying in relationships that I shouldn't be in with men that just aren't the best for me is all showing me how to detach and how to have more of a focus and acceptance of what I like and what I want and what's best for me.
What are some of the ways you celebrate yourself?
I wake up and I look in the mirror and before I get myself ready, and I'm like, look at you. I'm like, look at you.
You
Mm.
sexy beast.
Not just about being sexy or, it's just like my face is intact. Like I woke up in the same place I fell asleep in. My bones are intact. I don't feel this way all the time. The hardest times for me lately are in the morning and the nighttime. And so I'm just doing things a little bit differently to um help myself, not help myself, but just facilitate things a little bit lovelier for me and my mind and my body, which it's like I do a lot, but I still get those. My body has accustomed to having this feeling that is uncomfortable, and it's making me think, it's like, what am I needing to do? And it's getting on my bike, going for a run, doing something, shifting my focus. It's like filling that hole with creating something and spending more time on creating and thinking about art and creating music. Um, Thinking of ways of charming people, making people laugh. I love making people laugh, you know, and I love charming people. I love being mysterious. I love being weird. It's uncomfortable when people don't understand it sometimes, but it is what it is. It's like they're whack then. You can't tap into the funny moment of life, whatever it's for you.
I love
um,
that we're showing our age here by using the words wax, scrubs, and other things, right? I really, you're absolutely right. I used to make this joke that one of the reasons why I have a mirror on every floor and almost on every wall in my house is because I like looking at myself and celebrating myself, right?
your
So that,
floors are mirrors.
well, yeah, not my floor, sorry, on each level of my house. My
Okay, I
apologies,
was
not
like,
the floor, yeah. I'm not a creep. I don't want to make it look like I'm looking up people's pants or their dresses or skirts. So on each level of my house, there's like a mirror.
oh,
It's really
nice.
to check like when you're going out, make sure your face and outfit, whatever. But one thing that I learned for myself is that when I stepped in front of the mirror, I would say something positive about myself. Train, you look
Good.
nice. Train, you accomplish, right? That's why I made the joke, you sexy beast, because there's a time where I'd say that to myself. I'm like, oh my God, you look so hot. Are you sure you want to go outside looking like that? Maybe you should stay indoors.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard for us to celebrate ourselves just because we don't even know what to say,
What to
right?
feel, and it's because of that conditioning that we have to be ashamed and feel unworthy. And I think it's really important to read and to be gentle with oneself. We deserve it. Well, we're so hard on ourselves. We're taught to be hard on ourselves, and it doesn't have to be like that. Just gotta let go. And sometimes when I still experience being hard on myself, I just cry, and I just, tell God, I'm like, I'm sorry. I know. I tell sorry to my body. I tell sorry to my mind. I say I'm sorry to God and to life uh for getting the goodness of it, and that I'm gonna do my best to be gentle. And it's everyone has their own thing. I've experienced OCD most of my life and body dysmorphia most of my life. So it's it can be really hard because it doesn't have to be though. And it's okay. A lot of us, I used to have the mortal sin of just what we're taught in religion, is that we're born sinful and that there's something wrong with us and we're guilty. And that's not true. That's absolutely not true. And there's, of course, people that do things that are terrible to other people. But it's because those people are wounded. They feel terrible about themselves. They feel like they're going to get something out of it by doing something to someone else. But those are the sickest, most hateful, self-hating people. And it's a journey. It's a self-discovery journey. It's a self-revolution. I'm telling you. It's so we have to take responsibility for the way that we feel, and we have to love ourselves. We honestly don't have to do anything. We can do whatever we want, and we can totally reject that. We can totally reject those concepts of within spirituality of self-love and connection with a higher power. We could totally reject those. But it really comes down to what we want to experience in life. I think it's important
Ta-
to think about what we want to experience in life.
Taking back our power.
Yeah. And if the power was ever taken away, it's like even though we have all these experiences in life that we feel like take things from us, we're whole, we're born whole, and we still continue to be whole through that. And it's really important to be independently emotionally independent. And I know everyone's like, oh, you want to be an independent woman, this or that. And I'm like, that's just it's a modern crock of shit. I think it's important to learn to connect with our emotions and to be emotionally independent instead of having all these damn boring ass conversations about other people and about these boring things in life that people talk about. It drives me absolutely nuts. Humans drive me crazy. I drive myself crazy. But it's something that I work at, I recognize, and I strive to have better social experiences and how to have better social interactions with myself and how to have better times in relationships and in friendships because that's what I want to do.
Let me ask you, Jessica, one final question before I let you go today.
Mhm.
I want to give you three wishes because you touched on something I really, really want to hone in. What are three things you wish people knew about self discovery when it comes to their emotions and why?
Hmm. Three things I wish people would know about self-discovery is that it doesn't have to be that hard or it doesn't have to be pessimistic, and um, that it can be a beautiful journey and it can be a beautiful experience. And it really just, I'm like, what the hell should I say? I don't know. It's, I think it's something I'm still on discovery. I experience times where I feel more free for sure. Like my life has drastically transitioned over the last 3 or 4 years. And I recognize the patterns that I used to have where I held other people responsible for what I felt. Um, but it's just having courage because we can't always do it, be okay with every single thing. Just having courage. But it's a revolution where there's like a fire and stuff that's going to be created out of it. It's gonna be fun. It's be a groovy thing where it's just like we don't give a shit about a lot of things.